welcome to Out of the Box Radio with me, your host, Christine Blasdale. Out of the Box Radio is a weekly podcast of audible ear candy dedicated to bringing a fresh perspective on this thing that we call life. And each and every week, we're going to be diving into the topics that matter most with lively conversations on issues such as health, wellness, and transformational healing, all with the goal of creating a better world and becoming a happier human being. I will be your tour guide for this epic adventure, and each and every week we're going to be embarking on a journey with the ultimate goal being transformation to our highest potential. And now, let's get out of the box. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Out of the Box Radio. I am your host, Christine Blasdale, and I'm really happy that you tuned in today because we have a very special program. And we're going to be talking about an organization, a nonprofit community-based organization called Teen Line. And Teen Line actually helps troubled teenagers address their problems in such a unique way. It's their actual mission to provide personal teen-to-teen education and support before problems actually become a crisis. And they do that by using a national hotline, current technologies, and the good old resource of community outreach. And to explain what Teen Line is about and the services that are available for teens really all around the world is the executive director of Teen Line, Michelle Carlson. Michelle, welcome to Out of the Box Radio.
Thanks so much, Christine, for having me. Appreciate it.
Now, let's first of all, like I said, I was telling you a little bit before the interviews, I really love to find out where people, you're the executive director, so you've been doing this for a while, but I would love to find out a little bit about your background. How did you get to know about Teen Line, and where were you maybe even before you became involved with this organization?
Well, actually, I grew up in a mental health family, so mental health is no stranger to me. My father was a psychiatrist, and so always been surrounded by mental health. But I actually came into contact with Teen Line when I was doing suicide prevention outreach in the community. I've lost a number of family members and friends to suicide, unfortunately 5. So it became not even just a job for me, it became more of a mission. And so I came into contact with them in the field doing outreach and became further engaged with them. And luckily, the timing was right. Our fantastic founder of 34 years stepped down to allow new leadership to come in, and that just so happens that my qualifications fit their needs. And so I've been with Teen Line for the last couple of years and loved working with the organization.
Now, you spoke of, and if you feel comfortable, comfortable about sharing this, you spoke about in your own family you had experienced suicide, and if you feel comfortable explaining that or expressing any of that, please do, because I think, well, I'm sure a lot of our listeners have either a family member or themselves have maybe even considered suicide or contemplated it at some point in their lives. Do you feel do you feel comfortable sharing some of those experiences with us?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, I'm actually really glad you asked. I mean, I think that that's part of the problem around suicide, is there is so much stigma. I think so many times people think, oh my gosh, it's such a delicate subject, and so we can't talk about it, that maybe it'll put the idea in someone's head who might be feeling vulnerable or stressed. So I'm actually really glad you brought this up. I have no problem talking about it. Unfortunately, I lost my father, who was a psychiatrist, a mental health professional, to suicide, which, seems like that would be very unlikely. But there's a lot of stigma, even in the mental health community, for them to be strong, for those that they're helping. And I think that goes without saying. Sometimes there's that feeling, well, they're supposed to be the ones who are strong and helping others when they may need help themselves. So I think it is really important to get that conversation started. Suspecting it even in people that you might know, seeing someone that maybe their behavior's changed quite a bit over the last 6 weeks or so. Maybe their appearance has changed dramatically, or maybe they're sounding really hopeless or giving things away. These should be signs where we should be asking and starting that conversation with that person to talk to them about, what's going on. And sometimes the first step is just asking.
Exactly. And there's different groups of people, and obviously, definitely in the mental health industry itself, in that career, there is so much. I mean, I can't imagine also being someone who is a therapist too, or a psychiatrist who's dealing with people's. You all day long you're hearing about people coming in who have suffered great trauma. I would think that I could understand how that would affect you as a human being. But also there's a new segment of population, and these are children who are becoming teenagers, pre-teenagers and teenagers, that they've said that there's quite the high incidence of it, if not suicide, at least suicidal thoughts, and that is those of preteens and teens who are autistic. And I'm wondering if you have, I'm just curious if you've had any experience with autistic, or anyone that's on an autistic spectrum, and that phenomenon of those suicidal thoughts.
I think the suicidal callers that call us have a number of things going on, and some of them do, some of them are on the spectrum. What we do find is the commonality is that they're dealing with multiple issues. It's never, I think people, there's this whole link people talk about with like bullying and suicide, as though one is, the bullying is the cause of the suicide. And I think that that's a big misconception. I think when we look at it, there's a number of different factors that youth are dealing with. It's sort of like we like to think of taking the ice cream cone and then adding a scoop to, each thing that's a stressor. So, say, there's been abuse in the family, you add a scoop. There's been, they've been bullied at school, that's another scoop. And eventually it gets so high that it falls over. And that's sort of our visual picture of what some of the building of suicidality is. But I think it's important that youth know that they can reach out for help. I mean, it's really tough. A lot of what we hear most on our hotline is that kids really feel like they need to be able to handle it all. They're dealing with so much, and they feel like they need to be handling it on their own. So a lot of times teens feel comfortable maybe getting help for a friend, but maybe not for themselves.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the fact that so many teenagers feel all alone or isolated, or like you said, embarrassed to ask for help, for assistance. Now, what Teen Line provides is something extremely unique, and that's why I was so excited to get you on the show to talk about. So let's let our listeners, because a great deal of them are going to be teenagers, but also they're going to be maybe parents or friends of teenagers that they want to let them know about the service. But talk about what does Teen Line actually provide to teens that are needing a little bit of assistance right now.
Absolutely. I think you touched on a really good point. That people don't reach out for help because of the shame associated, and that's one of the things that we address in our teen to teen hotline. So we offer a teen to teen hotline. And essentially what that is we provide a non-judgmental space where they can call, text, or email anonymously to the hotline. And actually on the other end, the person that they'll be talking to is another teen. So what we found is teens feel more comfortable reaching out to a peer than they do an adult about their problems, because they feel like they really get it. They can connect in a way that maybe teens can't connect to adults, and they just feel more comfortable, and it feels less judgmental. So we provide that service every night of the week from 6 to 10, and basically the teens on the other end of the line are getting such an amazing experience, not only giving back to their peers to be able to help them and guide them through their problems, but they're also able to grow in their own experience. They learn a lot. They have 65 hours of training before they even get on the hotline. So they learn about everything from eating disorders to abuse to suicide, active listening. So they're really well prepared to help that person. And so when they get a call or a text or an email from a teen, they don't actually give them advice. What they do is they just kind of pull back the layers of what's going on, kind of finding out, why they called, what's bothering them, and getting to the root of the issue. and then giving them options in which that caller can really choose from, and sort of much more empowering for someone to be able to choose their own sort of destiny, as you might say, when they're dealing with their problems, than to have somebody decide it for you. So we give them resources, support resources. A lot of them are online. We give them other hotline numbers, or organizations that might help them with that specific issue.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's, and then we provide them ways in which they can help manage whatever's going on. They're having stress or anxiety at school. Maybe they take time out in between studying and go for a walk or listen to music. Find ways in which makes them feel good, that they're used to, but that can use that and bring that up when that problem arises again.
And is this the teen line, which is a phone number that teenagers can call from 6 to 10 p.m.? Would that be Pacific time?
Yeah, that's Pacific time.
Okay. So, but this is something that is, the phone number is available for teens across the country?
Yeah, so it's available across the country. So we have the hotline, which is available across the country from 6 to 10 Pacific time. We actually have text, which is available same time.
Which is great because teenagers love to text.
Yeah,
Right?
Sometimes people feel more comfortable on the phone, but we find that sometimes people just feel more comfortable and feel more anonymous by being able to do text, and maybe that's just an easier way for them to communicate what's going on with them. And then we also have email. So that actually makes us international because we can get emails from all over the world. So a lot of teens find us online through a lot of our message boards and a lot of our blogs written by our teens, and find us that way and contact the hotline for help. So
do you name some countries that teenagers have written you? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? We've gotten several from South Africa, Canada, China, India. Yeah, we get a lot from Europe as well. It's interesting. Yeah, people find us particularly through the web. Just doing searches about kind of what they're dealing with, and that's how they find us. And
that's a great lead into, let's give out the web address. Let's give out the information. Throughout the show, we're going to give out the information so that people have that ability to contact Teen Line. Why don't you give out the web address first?
Sure. The web address, which has tons of resources and the hotline information as well, is www.teenlineonline.org.
And also, let's give out the phone number especially for folks that are here in the United States, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific time. Give out the phone number. That will be also obviously the number that they can text to as well.
Yeah. So it's actually two different. So
okay.
the phone number on the hotline is 800 TLC Teen, which is basically 800-852-8336. And anyone in the U.S. and Canada can reach us through that number. Or if they feel more comfortable texting, they can always text TEEN to 839-863.
So that's the word TEEN to 839-863?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Or they can call the number, and you have it very smart. You have the 800 number as well, the 800 TLC Teen. Again, 1-800-TLC, like tender love and care. Teen, TEEN. And we'll give out that information periodically through the show. Now, let's just talk about some of the calls that your teen advisors, I guess you would say, or your volunteers that are getting. I'm guessing there's probably quite a few teenagers who maybe are gay or lesbian. They're having difficulty maybe talking to their family. Maybe they've been disowned. They become the possibility of becoming homeless. Let's talk about the lesbian, gay, transgender community of teenagers and their special set of circumstances when they do reach out to the Teen Line.
Yeah, I think we get quite a few calls from the LGBTQ community and from youth, some that are out and some that aren't. And we always want to meet the youth where they're at and not, because sometimes it's not going to be safe for them to come out. And we want to make sure that our biggest priority is really just listening to them, validating their struggle, finding out ways in which we can support them, finding out ways which we can help them build a support network to be able to get the support that they need. I think one of our primary concerns is we find there was a national survey that was out about a couple years ago about climate in schools. And what they found out was kids that are on the LGBTQ spectrum, in the last month, 30% had missed a day of school. And I think that really speaks to the environment, that we really need to keep working to create a more safe environment for kids in the community and find ways in which we can support them. We always encourage, GSAs, but not all schools have them. We do an LGBTQ outreach at schools where we really discuss in classrooms the differences between gender identity and sexual orientation, kind of what LGBTQ stands for, and then really what it means to be an ally, and how to give and get support when needed.
And do you see is it with a lot of the calls that there is bullying possibly going on in school based on their sexual identity, on their if they're coming out as being gay or trans, or is it? Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
absolutely. Sorry to get back to your original question, but yeah, no, that's one of the big things that we hear about is bullying. Whether that's most of it's verbal, but there's physical bullying we hear about. We know with all the cyberbullying going on, that just makes it easier for kids to access large numbers of people and just have really damaging effects on that teen. But really, they're calling up kind of with what they're experiencing. So they're talking about the anxiety they're having, the worries about going back to school, some of the isolation they're feeling because they're starting to pull away from people. And maybe not knowing who to talk to about, what's going on with them, and being able to kind of find people they feel safe with. That's what we always really try to encourage.
And so, if you, I'm curious too, with the teens that are there answering the calls or the texts, they've been also they don't necessarily need to be LGBTQ teens themselves, or do you have them that are there that can specialize in conversations about that?
Yes, we do actually. So we have kids across the spectrum that are listeners of ours. We have about 120 teens in total, and there's a significant amount of teens that actually are part of the LGBTQ community. So they really understand what a lot of these kids are going through and are really able to provide some really good support and resources and just validation to what they're going through, which is really powerful. I think it's so innate in all of us, really, just to have someone validate our struggle and really listen. It's almost like just being able to sort of throw the bricks off your shoulders, It's amazing what it can do. I mean, someone can call us in tears and potentially suicidal, and at the end, it's really interesting after a conversation, and I mean, it doesn't happen over a matter of minutes, it's more like an hour or something, but the listener is talking to them and they're laughing, and it's really amazing the transformation that occurs when you have that teen-to-teen interaction.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I think the work that you do there, Michelle, and all of the volunteers is absolutely brilliant. It is beautiful because, like you said, they're going to be much more comfortable. I wish when I was a teenager, I had something like this available, especially because it was a time too when no one was out. There were and if you were even suspected as being gay, you were ostracized. You were never invited to any get-togethers. It was a very lonely place to be, but to know, how amazing would it have been to have that resource, being able to pick up the phone or text, and communicate with someone who understands exactly what it feels like to be going through those, all of those emotions that you go through. First of all, as a teen, with the hormones and everything. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough enough being a teen, and then trying to figure out who you can talk to and who you can be supported by and who you can come out to. Those are really big decisions, and you want to make sure that you are supported and you have somewhere to turn and maybe talk to somebody before you start considering what you're going to do next. And I think that that's what's great about Teen Line is these teens get it. They understand, and they're here to help, and we have so many resources to be able to help people who are really struggling.
And that's, again, let's give out the number again. It's 1-800-TLC-TEEN. That's 1-800-TLC-TEEN. And you can call that number between 6 p.m. and, was it 6 and 9 or 6 and 10? 6 and 10?
6 to 10, yeah.
6 to 10 Pacific time, or you can text the word teen to 839-863. And let's say we do have some international listeners, and they want to reach out. What's the email address, or do they just go to the website?
Yeah, you go to the website. It's basically teenlineonline.org, and then /talk, TALK-now.
Okay.
And it's actually on our website as well. So they can just tap that, and it'll take them to an email form where it'll be sent straight to the hotline.
Well, and I've gone to the website. It's really easy to navigate. It's so simple. It's just like, it's either 1, 2, 3, talk here, text here, email here. So it's really, really easy. If folks want to go to the website, it's teenlineonline.org. And you can follow the links there. It's very, very simple. That's also why I appreciate it, because when you're stressed and you're upset and you're feeling lost, confused, looking for some kind of direction or just somebody that understands you, it's really nice that you made it very easy for teens to check that out. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. In addition to the hotline too, for more ongoing support, I know it's always so important to have a community, right? A community of support. And one of the things we have actually on the website that you had just mentioned there, are message boards. And basically, they have just different online communities. We have one specific to the LGBTQ youth community. And they can go on there and share experiences. They can ask questions. And it's a really incredibly supportive community. And people get a lot of great help and support there about maybe things that they can't talk to other friends or to a trusted adult. So I highly recommend that. Again, they're the message boards, and they're on our website.
And to give people a little bit of an idea, one of the reasons, too, why I had really wanted to give you a call and feature this on Out of the Box Radio was I had come across a YouTube video. So, and if with your permission, if it's okay, we'll play a little portion of that video now so people can hear it. And then when we come back, we'll explain a little bit more, give out the number a little bit more, and then we're going to go into detail about how teens can also participate and become volunteers as well. So is it all right if we play a little bit of that?
Yeah, of course. Please do.
Okay, so this is, again, this is from Teen Line, and this is a little YouTube video that you can check out. If you go to YouTube, just do a search for Teen Line, and you'll find a whole host of these different videos. Very important to share with young people. So let's listen now.
The teen years are hard. Many of us feel alone, isolated, and hopeless. With no one to talk to, with no one who really understands, we can sink into depression and despair. Some of us will even consider suicide.
A lot of kids don't feel like they can talk about what they're going through with anybody. They just want someone to be there for them. They just need somebody, anybody, to just acknowledge them.
Yeah, it must be so frustrating.
Since 1980, a group of teens have been there, listening and saving lives. And at the same time, changing their own.
Hey, this is Josh at Teenline.
Teenline is an anonymous and confidential helpline answered by teen volunteers who take phone calls and respond to texts and emails every night from 6 to 10 p.m.
He doesn't go to your school, right?
Have you thought about doing that for a while?
For any teen who calls or texts or emails Teenline, they're going to get a teenager just like them. We're just going to be like, hey, this is Teenline, what's up?
Do you feel like it's, a healthy way to cope, or do you not like what you're doing?
I won't let you know that I do care.
We get calls dealing with relationships, suicide, child abuse, rape, self-injury, eating disorders. It can be anything.
The teen volunteer listeners are supervised by adult mental health professionals who provide them with support and information.
You wanted to help yourself, and so you...
Teens communicate with teens better than they do with adults because, you're going through the same things.
You want to tell me a little bit more about your relationship with your dad?
Every year, more than 10,000 teens from around the world reach out to Teenline.
We call our teen volunteers listeners.
My name's Bella.
Because you don't have to sit there and tell them what to do.
Do you want to tell me what happened? You just listen and provide empathy, and the person will just totally help themselves.
I think it's up to you if you want to get back together with him. I just had a call from this girl, Melissa. It was a relationship call, and she was just feeling really overwhelmed and lots of things going on in her life, and she just needed someone to listen to her.
Do you blame yourself or feel guilty? When I'm on a phone call, you don't notice anyone else around you because you're just absolutely focused on that one person and how they're feeling. Well, then I think you're very brave for talking to me. You're there to help them, and that's the only thing going through your mind. No, absolutely. I feel like I helped somebody. I feel like I made a difference in someone's life, even if it was very small.
To become a Teenline listener, a teen must go through an intensive 13-week training period.
I'll make a plan with our own ideas.
In training, we learned active listening skills. We learned about domestic violence, depression. We learned about mental illnesses, drug abuse, everything that you could possibly imagine that a teenager human being goes through.
You guys are so good. Look at this.
Everyone's working towards a common goal of becoming a Teenline listener and helping other teens.
Teenline's free outreach programs not only inform youth about the hotline as a resource, but they also help educate about the difficult issues teens have to deal with every day. More than 35,000 youth and adults are impacted each year as Teenline takes its message directly into schools, law enforcement agencies, and youth groups to raise awareness of issues that teens might be struggling with.
As a freshman, I felt suicidal. I never felt like I could relax. I never felt normal. I started getting involved in outreaches not too long after I completed the training. I got through it. The cutting eventually subsided. It was an addiction,
They really listen to the teens. I've seen Teenline in action when I spoke. And when they hear another teenager talking about their struggles, the kids' eyes are riveted on the other teenagers and understand that they're not the only ones that feel that way.
Thank you guys for listening. Outreaches are probably the coolest thing I've done in my high school career.
Oh, she's LGBT.
Teenline even publishes the Youth Yellow Pages. It's a referral guide that lists many services available to teens about a wide variety of problems that they may face. And of course, this invaluable resource can now be downloaded free as an app. Financial support for Teenline services comes from grants, fundraisers, and individual donations. Teenline is more than just a hotline. Since its first call more than 30 years ago, hundreds of Teenline volunteers have become a force for positive change in their communities. And most would agree that teens helping teens is good for everyone.
When I'm on that phone and someone's saying, I have nowhere else to go, no one wants me here anymore, no one cares about me here anymore, all you do is you just say, I am here right now. I care about you.
Well, I'm here to help you.
All you hear on that other line is just thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
No matter what the problem is, the teens who volunteer at Teenline are there to help.
I'm so glad you called.
If you want to know more about Teenline, please call or visit the website.
And that was a YouTube video that was put together by Teenline. and addressing the issues. I love the fact that you have such a wide variety of teens expressing what it's like to be in their shoes. Exactly. And we had talked a little bit earlier about how many teen volunteers do you have answering the phones and the texts?
Actually, every night there's, amazingly, there's 8. There's only 8 answering. They do a ton of work. It's amazing. But our total listener for our entire organization is about 120.
Wow.
So, yeah, we take on about 70 to 75 a year. Because people graduate, and then basically we take on new people,
and then they move on. Right now, what if you're a teenager? How would they if they were interested in this? If I was a teenager and I wanted to do this and give back to my my community, so to speak, and be involved in something like this, how do they go about that?
We're always looking for great teens who want to give back. And I think we really do like it if teens have had their own challenges and overcome them, because I think that allows them to really connect with other people on the line, the callers. So we actually have training groups. We take groups of about 20 to 25 3 times a year. So we actually have application windows open in the fall, which actually just closed, but the next one will be spring. And then we also have a summer group for those who have too much going on during the year to apply for summer, which is a little bit of a shorter training schedule. But they received, like I mentioned before, 65 hours of training. It's great. I mean, what we find is a lot of people use this training even later on in life after they leave Teen Line. They tend to be the people who people compliment and say, you're just such a great listener. And they seem to be really successful in terms of whatever they do after they leave Teen Line. But it's a really rewarding experience. You get to gain new friends from other schools that you might not have known before. It brings together a really amazing group of people. And they become really close. It's like we call ourselves the Teen Line family.
And so would they need to be in the Los Angeles area? Do they need to be living in the Los Angeles area?
Do.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're actually based over at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center,
wow.
Who's been really supportive, and we're really appreciative for the support they give us. They give us free office space to be able to operate our hotline. And so all of our training is held there. So people do come from all over the greater Los Angeles, but we know how that can be with traffic sometimes. So, but yeah, it's a phenomenal opportunity. It's usually about 12 to 13 weeks of training. And yeah, we strongly encourage people who are interested to just go online and check it out. There's some information online and an application, and also just a lot of answered questions that you may have about the process or about just being a listener.
Fantastic. So if you're a teen that's in the Los Angeles area, and you're interested in participating in this, and I think it's a fantastic, I mean, what an incredible opportunity. And it's based out of the Cedars-Sinai hospital there. And speaking of that, you've got a rave review, obviously, too, from the president and CEO of Cedars-Sinai, who says this about Teen Line, says, the plight of runaway, abandoned, and abused teenagers is one that cannot be ignored and can be difficult to address. The Teen Line Helpline program has been a tremendous force over the last 2 decades in reaching out to these troubled teens and providing a vital resource and support system. That's some pretty nice words from the president and CEO of Cedars-Sinai.
Yeah, we're extremely grateful to them. I mean, actually the program started 36 years ago through a social worker, our founder, who was actually working there at Cedars, and that's how it was actually born, through she and 2 other individuals helped start it.
And now, do you also, with Teen Line, do you reach out to schools? Do you go to schools so that they are aware? Because we have Out of the Box Radio, and a lot of people are going to hear about it through the podcast, and then they're going to share through the YouTube video that we create out of the show. But how do teens find out about you?
So for the hotline, most teens find out about us online. So, they're done with their homework, they're done with whatever they had after school, and done with studying, and they're online kind of looking just either for advice or a chat room or some sort of support, maybe some answers to what they're experiencing. So a number of teens that call us on the hotline find us through our website. We're also really active in the community. We really believe in, a lot of reasons why people don't reach out for help is because there's so much stigma and so much shame, and really we just want to get the conversation started. So we go into high schools and actually some middle schools as well, and talk about the different issues that teens are faced with, anxiety, stress, depression, difficulty in relationships, suicidality, just to kind of get the conversation started and get a discussion started to help make it more comfortable to talk about, and then help them kind of feel more comfortable with reaching out for help if they themselves experience something like that, or if they notice it in a friend.
And now, if you're an adult and you want to support Teen Line, what can you do? Do you look for active for donations, or for what could an adult do who thinks this is an amazing program? What could we do to support you guys there?
Yeah, I mean, we believe in a community, and we couldn't do it without our supporters. So if anybody has, exceptional skills they want to donate, or if they financially would like to make a contribution, you can actually contact us online and do that, and we'd be grateful. We do so much stuff in the community. I mean, the demand is really more than we can even meet. We're growing at such a rapid pace, and we're realizing there's so much need there. So the support of the community and our donors is extremely important to us.
And do you have any sort of events or anything that's coming up that people can participate in?
Yeah, actually, we actually have. So National Suicide Prevention Week is coming up, and in honor of that, on Saturday, September 16th, we're actually opening the hotline for 12 hours. So we're extending our hours that Saturday. Our teen listeners really felt strongly about doing more to help more teens. Being the beginning of the year is always a tough transition back. And once the tests start coming and some of the stress and some of, the anxiety around things experienced at school, there's more of a need to talk to somebody. And so we're expanding our hours from noon to midnight on September 16th, it's Saturday. So any teens that feel they really want to talk to someone and, in the middle of the day, reach out to us. We're doing it in honor of National Suicide Prevention Week.
And National Suicide Prevention Week starts, what date is that? Let's see.
That actually starts on the 11th.
So it starts on September 11th.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then
to help bring awareness to it, essentially.
And then on September 16th, that's a Saturday, right? So that's good. Yeah. So you picked a day where people, or it's the ability to handle more calls and to get more people in. That's perfect. This will be from noon to midnight on September 16th.
Yep.
That's very, very special.
Yeah. We hope it'll be helpful for those, who really just need extra help.
Now, Michelle, as the executive director of Teen Line, what does the future look like for you? Not for you personally, but for Teen Line in general. Are there things that you would like to do, that you're looking to do, that you're working towards? Any kind of goals that you're working towards?
Absolutely. We are actually, it's really exciting. We have been working for the last year and a half on an app, and we are actually launching an app that will be basically helpful for more ongoing support. So more of the day-to-day stresses. So things, dealing with relationships or maybe some anxiety and stress at school. So teens can actually get on there. It's going to be basically a chat app. So there will be youth in which we're going to train in other areas besides just where we're located, so kind of far from our main campus, so that we can provide that experience of training to other people outside our geographic area, but then also be able to reach more people for more hours. So we are going to have more details on that probably in the next month or so. So I would say if anybody wants more information on that or future developments with Teen Line, I would say to sign up on our website or our newsletter.
I would think that, cities all across the country, if they were aware of what you were doing and the success rate too, would want to duplicate that or make it even more of a national, and have some major, funding go into it, because it's so vitally important. I mean, look at, my goodness, the lives that you can change and save by this it's a simple idea, but it's just been put together so well. Teens helping teens. And you get away from the stigma, you get away from how hard it is for a teenager a lot of times to talk to an adult because they figure they can't relate to what they're going through. But this would be it would help so many people. That's why I'm so excited to have you on the show, explaining what this wonderful opportunity is for teenagers on both sides, to help fellow teenagers, but also those that are really seeking some support going through what they're going through.
Yeah, and to that point, we're open 6 to 10, but the support doesn't end there. I mean, like I mentioned, we have our message boards, but anybody who calls our hotline after those hours, it actually rolls over to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, where we partner with D.D. Hirsch. So no matter what time they contact us, if they call us, they're going to be taken care of by someone who can help them on the other end of the line. And I think that's important to note. I think a lot of the things that we do, we would not be able to do without our partners in the community.
Oh, I think that's brilliant. Yeah, when you're really stressed, traumatized, upset, frantic, the worst thing would be to call late at night and then to get like a voice message or something like that. Please leave a message. We'll get back to you.
Exactly. We can't compartmentalize our emotions to certain times, right?
Exactly. So let's give out those numbers again. Why don't you go ahead and give out the phone number again, Michelle, and the text number.
No problem. The phone number in USA and Canada is 800 TLC Teen. Again, that's 800 TLC Teen. And if you want to text Teen to 839-863.
So it's teen to 839-863, or you can call the toll-free phone number in this country, 1-800-TLC Teen. And if you're listening from outside of the United States and you're in another country, you can go to the website teenlineonline.org, and you can use the email format, and you can send an email. Now, how soon would they get a response if they did send an email?
If they send an email, they won't get a response until our actual hotline opens at 6 o'clock. So that's when we start doing the emails.
Okay.
So they will get a response, within 24 hours.
Okay, exactly. Because it's email, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
And Michelle, I'm curious because you've been. How long have you been with the organization?
I've only been with them for 2 years.
So in the 2 years, because I know there has to be, you've seen a lot or you've heard about a lot. What would you say are some of the top reasons why teens call the Teen Line? What would you say are the top three?
It's a great question. Because in the last year, our hotline volume has doubled. So we definitely see there is an increased need. But what people call us most about is most commonly relationships, just because it's all encompassing. So that's, relationships with a significant other, with family, with friends. And the next most common is usually anxiety and stress. So that can be a number of different things depending on what's going on with them. Which we, like I said, the person that they're talking to, the trained teen listener, really gets to the bottom of, like, kind of peeling back the layers and just talking to the person about what's going on. Depression is very common, and we've actually seen that increase quite a bit. And that could be too, people are just starting to feel more comfortable talking about it, because there is more of a conversation now, particularly around, when you see a lot of TV shows and different, YouTube, people on YouTube, the influencers talking about it, so that's always good. And then suicide, of course, and then self-harm is actually the fifth most common call.
Self-harm. Wow. Yes. Would you now, without being a therapist or an analyst ourselves, does that usually come from some type of abuse from the family, or like an early childhood traumatic abuse?
It can be tied to that. Yes, it can be tied to that. I think there's a real misunderstanding between that and suicide. A lot of times people self-harm, hurt themselves, whether they're cutting, burning, pulling their hair. It's really a coping mechanism. It's just, it's trying to deal with uncomfortable emotions, essentially.
Right. Like, and it's, from my understanding, it's also like a release.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You have all of this emotion built up, and there's a need to release it in some form or fashion, not necessarily to take your own life.
Exactly. And I think it's difficult because as a release, some people everybody has different coping mechanisms, right? And we try to find healthy ones in order to deal with what's going on. But I think with self-harm can be difficult in the sense that it can be somewhat addictive, right? I mean, that release can be really powerful when you're dealing with really difficult to deal with emotions. I mean, same thing with like drinking alcohol. I mean, and it can get excessive and cause a lot of self-harm, and that could be considered self-harm too, really.
Well, that just kind of leads me to the next question, and this is just a silly question. I don't know why, but do you have teens that call in and they're either inebriated or high? Maybe they're panicked if they've taken something and they're reaching out to someone who'll help them out a little bit.
It's interesting. We do get people every so often, but it's not common. We don't see as much alcohol and drug abuse coming through. We actually hear a lot more about, just self-harm in general. A lot of cutting, and just other ways in which to cope, but unhealthy ways in which to cope. But we don't hear a ton about drugs and alcohol. I think people too, though, when they're in that frame of mind, they're looking to that for a way to cope with what's going on, and so they don't tend to think about turning to the phone to call us. Right. That could be as well.
Right, more of an escape as well, an escape and not confronting the issue or talking to somebody.
Exactly. So, I mean, we always say when people call in, that's a great sign. It's the teens that don't call us that we worry about. So any teens that call in, obviously want some sort of help or are open to it to a certain extent, if they're reaching out for help. And I think that that's particularly important when you think about things like suicide. So there's obviously some ambivalence there about wanting to die, because obviously no person wants to die. They just want to escape the pain. But when they call us, we know that there's some ambivalence and that maybe their mind isn't made up.
And so when they do call up the person that they speak to, another teen on the line, they've obviously been trained for many weeks in this. But do they know? So they'll know if there's a point where they need to refer them to the suicide hotline to someone. Like, in other words, that there might be an area or a level where they need to pass this on to someone else?
So in cases where someone is in imminent danger, so if they're going to, hurt themselves, someone else, or they're being hurt by someone, that's usually when we do need to get involved. I mean, depending on the situation, we will get others involved besides just the teen.
Right, and so it might. Okay, yeah, I got you. And wow, so your wonderful little advisors, they're there. They really have to be on their toes, and I mean, amazing individuals themselves to be able to handle this and to know what to do.
Absolutely, and I think they're just. What drives them is just being able to help someone, because I think all of us in our lives have been in a place where it's been uncomfortable or awful or something we having difficulty with dealing with on our own. And to have somebody to talk to who your age, who gets it, who's completely non-judgmental, who's basically holding your hand through the process of talking about something that might be painful to you, it's a really powerful connection and can have really powerful effects for that person on the phone.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like I said before, it's something that I wholeheartedly support and want more people to. I want to, man. If I was Oprah Winfrey, I would put up billboards all over.
You can give her a call for us.
I would put up teen line billboards all over the place. Oh man,
we're working on it.
Good. Okay, Oprah, give them a call, will you? So we're gonna give out the information. I want to thank you also, Michelle Carlson, Executive Director of Teen Line. Thank you so very much for all the work that you're doing. Please let all the teens that are there answering the calls, answering the texts, please give them a big, huge hug from me and the Out of the Box Radio listeners. That the work that you're all doing is really so important, and it's so appreciated, and we're going to get the word out as much as we can here.
Thank you so much, Christine. We're so honored to be on the show and for the great work that you're doing. So thank you so much.
And we can, this is going to be a YouTube video. So please, folks, make sure that you share this YouTube video. Send it. You can post it on your social media sites, your Instagram, Twitter, your Facebook pages. Also, you can send it as an email as well. And we're going to give out the information again. It's for more information, you can find out about how you can volunteer, how you can support this amazing organization, how you can get resources, and also just getting help for teens. It's teenlineonline.org. Teenlineonline.org. And those phone numbers, again, very important. And you should have this on your refrigerator. 1-800-TLC-TEEN. 1-800-TLC, like Tender Love and Care, teen. And also, you can text the word teen to the number 839-863. All right. Thank you again, Michelle Carlson, so much.
Thank you, Christine. We so appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, for all the work you do. And thank you, Out of the Box Radio listeners. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Share this program as much as you can. And if you want to make sure you never miss another future episode of Out of the Box Radio, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, on iHeartRadio, or, of course, on YouTube, so you'll never miss a show. And I want to thank you all for listening. And as always, I want to remind you to think outside of the box. Bye for now.